Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really profound psychological mystery. It's one that so many of us live with every single day, and honestly, we probably don't even realize it's happening. We're looking at the architecture of self-kindness and internal silence. If you have ever felt like you're carrying this heavy, invisible weight in your chest, even though you are the exact person everyone else relies on to make them feel better, well, you are absolutely in the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to really sit with the question for a second. Just think about it. Why are we so incredibly gentle with the world, but so entirely brutal to ourselves? There's a very specific kind of person who chooses their words so carefully to make sure nobody feels left out, someone who is endlessly patient with others. But internally, they run a harsh, strict monologue. And that gap, it isn't just a random character defect. It's not just something you have to live with. It's actually a web of deeply sophisticated psychological patterns.
So let's jump right into section 1, the great contradiction.
At the very heart of this issue is the reality that you essentially have two completely different versions of yourself, and they've never quite made peace with each other, right? They operate with two totally different sets of rules. Imagine a friend calls you, and they are absolutely mortified about a mistake they just made. Instantly, you become the friend. You warmly, patiently remind them that one single moment does not define them, and you mean every single word of it. But when something similar happens to you, poof, that comforting friend vanishes. What shows up instead is the prosecutor. It's this voice that dissects, replays, and meticulously catalogs every little mistake with a harsh precision that you would literally never, ever apply to someone else.
And hey, this isn't just some random anecdote. It's heavily researched behavior. I found this powerful quote from Dr. Kristin Neff at the University of Texas to be incredibly striking. She spent years studying self-compassion, and she found that people consistently extend more grace to absolute strangers, people they haven't even met, than they extend to themselves. I mean, really think about what that means. Somewhere along the way, you learned a deeply ingrained lesson. Other people simply deserve kindness, but you, well, you specifically have to earn it first.
And that brings us to section 2, a strategy for survival.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it completely reframes this trait. You are not broken for being soft with others and hard on yourself. That split, it isn't a personality flaw. It is actually your nervous system telling the profound story of how it learned to survive. Imagine growing up in an environment where the emotional temperature of the room could just change without any warning, where love felt like it had strings attached. A child in that unpredictable environment builds a strategy. They learn these 3 steps before they even learn the alphabet. Step 1, keep everyone comfortable. Step 2, make people happy. Because if you can just manage to do those 2 things, you achieve step 3. You stay protected. You learn to be agreeable, to be useful, and to be small enough so that nothing would go wrong.
What's absolutely fascinating here is psychologist Dr. Gabor Maté's concept of authenticity versus attachment. He defines this as an unconscious trade. Basically, when being fully yourself felt risky, you offered the world a version of you that was easy to love, hoping the world would keep you safe in return. And here is the truly beautiful part about all of this. Your kindness was never fake. It wasn't a performance. That tool you picked up purely out of necessity eventually transformed into genuine warmth. You turned a survival mechanism into something real. But it definitely came at the very high cost of hiding your true authenticity.
So, let's look at section 3, the quiet exhaustion.
I want to take a moment to validate something that you probably don't like to admit. Honestly, admitting it might even feel disloyal to your own kindness. But beneath all that endless giving, there is often a quiet ache. And I want to be clear, it is not neediness, and it isn't simply loneliness. It's just a human bid to matter to someone, to earn a place that you really deserve to simply have all along. It becomes the burden of being easy. You become the one who always calls, the one who always remembers to check in. You hold things together and make yourself completely low maintenance. But when you shape yourself around what the room needs for years, something really quiet happens. People get so comfortable with the version of you that never asks for too much, that nobody pushes past your smile to see what you actually want or how you really feel. Not because they don't care, but because you've been so incredibly good at making it seem like everything is totally fine. And this brilliantly illustrates what researchers from UCLA found regarding social connection. It explains exactly why this dynamic is so draining. When you are valued simply for what you do, for your usefulness, it creates this constant low hum of anxiety, because subconsciously you know that useful can always be replaced. Now contrast that with being valued for who you are, which creates true safety and connection. If you've been hoping your usefulness would eventually lead to someone showing up for you, well, no wonder you were quietly exhausted.
Which perfectly sets up section 4, why praise feels wrong. Let's explore the paradox of how we react to genuine compliments and why we instinctively try to push them away. Consider this for a second. When someone genuinely compliments you, why does it feel like an error? Why does it feel a little off, a little out of place? Almost like something was handed to you that you aren't quite sure you're actually allowed to keep. Instead of just smiling and going on with your day, you probably find yourself quietly analyzing it, searching for every possible reason why it just couldn't be true. Neuroscientists actually call this negativity bias, but it takes on a deeply personal twist here. You see, when shame has been your default lens for a really long time, love starts to feel inaccurate. It's not that love is wrong, it's that your brain has been running a totally different story, and a compliment is data that just doesn't match the file. Your brain trusts the critical voice over the kind one simply because it has known that critical voice longer. It's an efficient pattern matching function, really. It's designed to protect you from what it believes is wishful thinking.
So the crucial point is, how do we escape this? Let's look at section 5, breaking the pattern. Once we finally understand this hidden architecture, we can actually escape the cycle. Now, if you felt exposed at any point during this explainer, or maybe even a little weak for recognizing yourself in all of this, that feeling right there is the pattern. Live in real time. The fact that understanding yourself might make you feel worse about yourself is exactly what we've been talking about. That is the pattern defending itself. It is not a character flaw, and it is absolutely not who you are at your core. But here is exactly how that pattern loses its power. Listen to this. You do not have to fix it overnight. You do not have to aggressively wrestle your inner critic to the ground. All you have to do is create a little bit of distance. The very moment you can notice and name the pattern clearly in real time, you instantly strip it of a significant part of its grip on you. To create that tiny, necessary gap of distance and relief, here is your ultimate tool. Next time you feel that harsh internal prosecutor flare up, or whenever you instinctively try to reject a compliment, just pause. Take a breath and tell yourself, that's the pattern talking, not me. Just observing the pattern means you're no longer completely trapped inside it. Which leaves us with this final, truly empowering thought. Now that you finally have the words to recognize the pattern, what will you do with your new quiet space? Understanding this internal architecture doesn't just offer information, it offers deep, profound relief. It's the relief of finally having a name for a heavy burden you have quietly lived with for so long. As you step back from the harsh noise of the prosecutor, I really hope you find exactly what you deserve. The exact same grace and kindness you've been so freely giving to the rest of the world.